Big crowd edging up, trying to get a look at the horses, which have been saddled out on the infield turf course. Those fans have made Super Saver now 2-1. So Super Saver has gone up a bit, 2-1. And Looking at Lucky is 2.5-1. They're the two favorites. They've been jockeying back and forth all afternoon. Well, as we said, the horses have been saddled there on the infield turf course and now await the call from the paddock judge for riders up.
Riders up.
And there is Javier Castellano, who's won 3 races already today, getting a leg up. In fact, Javier won his only other Preakness start aboard Bernardini. He's riding Aconite today. Schoolyard Dreams. Julien Leparoux took a spill yesterday, but he's okay. Won a race already today. Terry Thompson on Northern Giant. You want a twist, one of the long shots. Rick Dutrow gets a leg up to Edgar Prado. Here's Nick Zito's Jackson Bend and Mike Smith. Martin Garcia, who has actually worked Looking at Lucky a lot, so he's no stranger to the horse, but he rides him in the big race today in the Preakness. There's Calvin Burrell on Super Saver, and he has his game face on again, and Super Saver on his toes as well. Cara Cortado, 41-year-old Paul Atkinson in his first Preakness ride. And the horses now will be welcomed onto the track by the call to the post, followed by the singing of Maryland, My Maryland.
Ladies and gentlemen, now assembled in the infield winner's circle is the U.S. Naval Academy Men's Glee Club under the direction of Monty Maxwell, chairman of the U.S. Naval Academy Musical Activities, to sing Maryland, My Maryland.
Fletcher looking for his first Preakness win after getting his first Derby win 2 weeks ago. And Super Saver Calvin Burrell, the favorites to do it for Todd. He also has Aconite in the field today. So a double-pronged attack on the Preakness by Todd Fletcher, who has trained the winners of $180 million. Now has a Derby win, has a Belmont Stakes win, and looking for his first Preakness. Can Calvin Burrell do it again? Field of 12 for this 135th Preakness. And number 1 is Aconite, named for the Aiken, South Carolina headquarters of Dogwood Stable, Cock Campbell's pioneering partnership. Todd Fletcher risks beating his Derby winner with this colt, who is looking for his first win of the year. Most recently was 3rd in the Derby trial. Number 2, Schoolyard Dreams. Owners Eric Fine and Tony Matola shared their dreams at public school number 187 in Douglaston, New York. Trained by transplanted Irishman Derek Ryan, who had Musket Man 3rd in the Preakness last year. Schoolyard Dreams finished ahead of Super Saver in the Tampa Bay Derby, then 4th in the Wood Memorial on April 3rd. Number 3, Pleasant Prince. Ken and Sarah Ramsey's Dean's Kitten ran 14th in the Derby. Pleasant Prince didn't have enough graded earnings to run in that race. Trained by former jockey Wesley Ward, Pleasant Prince beaten the nose in the Florida Derby, then in his last start 3rd in the Derby trial. Number 4, Northern Giant. Wayne Lucas put Garrett Gomez on Dublin, replacing Terry Thompson, who gets this colt as a consolation prize. This long shot 9th in the Arkansas Derby. Number 5, You Want a Twist, owned by Steal Your Face Stables, the name of a Grateful Dead album. Trained by Rick Dutrow, who won his only other Preakness start with Big Brown, and ridden by Edgar Prado, who won 24 leading rider titles in Maryland in the 90s. This New York bred ran 2nd in the Illinois Derby back on April 3rd. 6 is Jackson Ben, trained by Nick Cito, who won the 96 Preakness with Louis Quatorze, ridden by Mike Smith, winner of the Preakness on Prairie Bayou in 93. Jackson Ben 12th in the Derby, his first time in 10 starts to not have been first or second. Number 7 is Lookin' at Lucky, and will youth be served today? Lookin' at Lucky won't even turn 3 until May 27th, his official birthday, and ridden by 25-year-old Martin Garcia, who was working in a deli in California when he was convinced to try the racetrack. Number 8 is Super Saver. The WinStar team has him peaking at the right time. Can he do it without everything falling in his favor as it did at Churchill Downs? His tactical speed will be an asset, and Derby winners usually run well in the Preakness. Number 9, Cara Cortado, the California-bred gelding, Scarface in Spanish, who gives journeyman jockey Atkinson and breeder, owner, trainer Mikowski their first Preakness horse. Mikowski's last trip to Pimlico resulted in a win for Southern Image in the 2004 Pimlico Special. Cara Cortado a troubled 4th in the Santa Anita Derby on April 3rd. 10 is Patio Prado, Donegal Racing, a partnership of Des Moines and Boston individuals, one of 2 trainees by Dale Romans, and a rough trip in the Derby, finishing 3rd, just nipped by Icebox for 2nd. Number 11 is First Dude. His mother is Run, Sarah Run, so named for Todd Palin, bred and owned by Floridian Don Disney and trained by Dale Romans. Former Maryland riding star Ramon Dominguez looks for his first Preakness win on this colt. He's already won 3 races today, Dominguez. This colt was 3rd in the Bluegrass Stakes. And number 12 is Dublin. Wayne Lucas, who won his first Preakness with Codex 30 years ago, has started a record 36 horses in this race, and a win would be number 6 to give him a clear 2nd place all-time. Garrett Gomez rides the Derby 7th place finisher for the first time. And there's your field of 12 for the 135th running of the Preakness Stakes. He'll be going 1 mile and 3/16 for a purse of $1 million in the 2nd jewel of racing's Triple Crown.
Two weeks ago at Churchill Downs, Calvin Burrell delivered Todd Pletcher his first Kentucky Derby victory aboard a colt that had been somewhat overlooked until race day.
The unflappable Calvin Burrell riding that rail to victory once again in the Kentucky Derby.
Today, with the focus now on Super Saver, what other horses might emerge to thwart a Triple Crown run? Bob Baffert's Lookin' at Lucky was a Derby favorite, but got boxed in and finished 6th. Baffert is hoping his luck changes today with a new jockey in the saddle. Then there's D. Wayne Lucas, who's trained 5 Preakness winners, though none since 1999. Today, he brings 2 horses to the start gate at Pimlico. Meanwhile, Cara Cortado is Paul Atkinson's first Triple Crown mount at the age of 41. More than 30 years have passed since horse racing's last Triple Crown winner. Will Super Saver take the next step towards the elusive prize? The answer is moments away.
Well, no horse has done it since affirmed in 1978, and even with the popularity and recent phenomenal success of Calvin Burrell, when he declared that he and Super Saver would do it this year, I think it's fair to say that much of the public remains skeptical. A lot of people would love to see it. They're just not counting on it. So many worthy contenders have come very close in recent years. None has been able to complete it. But, Tom, one thing is obvious and for sure. Only Super Saver this year still has a chance.
You're right, Bob, and Super Saver and Lookin' at Lucky with late money now have become co-favorites again. They're both at 2-1, and always the traditional story about Pimlico is really tight turns, but that's not really the case, is it?
No, it's not. Before I ever came to Pimlico for the first time, I was told how tight the turns were here. It's an optical illusion, an old wives' tale. If you look at this around the turns here, it's a narrow racetrack, giving it the optical illusion that the turns are sharper. Not the case. Turns are exactly the same as what they are at Churchill Downs, but you want to be able to save ground. If you get outside of the 4-path, you've got trouble. And we've got Donna Barton down on the racetrack, and Dublin has had some problems with the outside. He's parked out in the 12-hole, Dublin. Or, excuse me, Donna. What's going to happen there?
Well, I'll tell you what, as you can see, just to give you a little perspective, there is barely enough room for me to fit in between this starting gate and the outside fence. At Churchill Downs, you have a whole nother starting gate sitting to the right of this starting gate. Dublin breaks from that 12 outside post. As you mentioned, he's had a history of getting out, meaning he bears to the outside. If he bears to the outside here, he does not have far to go before he gets to the fence, Gary.
Well, it's about 10 feet at least more narrow than it is at Churchill Downs, so that is a factor, and it has a big cushion. You have to start your move just a little bit earlier here at Pimlico. It does have a shorter stretch. Is that correct?
It does have a shorter stretch, but horses don't come from way off the pace. Horses can come from off the pace at the half-mile pole, be in contention in the final stretch at the quarter pole with a quarter mile to run, but you won't see anybody, I don't think, come from 12 lengths off of it in the final eighth of a mile.
Paul Atkinson, the rookie jockey at 41 years old on Caracatado, number 9, has never ridden at Pimlico. Is that a disadvantage?
I wouldn't say so. Paul's ridden at some of the smaller racetracks around the country. Incidentally, Caracatado, he broke his maiden, meaning he won his first race at Fairplex Park in California. That's a smaller racetrack. It's only a 6-furlong racetrack. Now, they have tight turns there. This horse can handle the tighter surroundings of this racetrack. If he gets in tight, he's used to those kinds of surroundings.
Calvin Burrell getting ready aboard Super Saver. Let's go to Mike.
All right, thanks, Tom. And, you know, I spoke to Todd Pletcher about Aconite, his other horse in here, and asked him how he'd feel if that horse were to spring the upset. Well, that's only happened once in the history of this race, where the same trainer has brought 2 horses in. It happened in 1995. Wayne Lucas won the Derby with Thunder Gulch, and Timber Country was third. They both came here for the Preakness. Well, Timber Country turned the tables. He beat Thunder Gulch and thwarted his chance at a Triple Crown. The thing about that one is that standing next to him that day was a young Todd Pletcher, who was then his assistant. And Gary Stevens, I know you know a little bit about this because you rode Thunder Gulch. I hope you don't get mad at me for bringing that up.
Don't get mad at you at all. Matter of fact, Todd Pletcher legged me up that day, and Wayne Lucas was over with the other horse. So no harm, no foul. He ran 2 horses. That's what it's all about. He ran a
Super
team.
Saver into the gate. And Donna, everybody looking good as they go into the gate now?
Everybody does look good. As we have just a few seconds here, I will mention that Super Saver is drawn a little bit, meaning he's lost a little weight since the Derby. Dublin still looks good, but he has gotten a little hot. Hopefully he hasn't gotten upset.
So the horses continue to load. There's a look at First Dude, who goes into the gate with Ramon Dominguez, who's won 3 races already today. And Dublin in the outside post. Here to call the Preakness Stakes. Let's go to Tom Durkin.
Super Saver seeks to win the middle jewel of the Triple Crown, the 135th running of the Preakness, and they're off. Super Saver got off to a good start, and Dublin went way to the outside, right from the gate. Oh, that's going to cost him dearly. So here's Super Saver, and here's First Dude. First Dude's going to be the leader, and Super Saver will sit back running second under the line for the first time. Jackson Bennett, the rail third, Caracatado fourth on the outside. 2-year-old champion looking at Lucky is fifth in between horses. Patio Product to his outside. You want a twist, cuts the corner beautifully, moving up a couple spots from 6. And then it's Schoolyard Dreams back running along in 7th. Northern Giant is at the back of the pack. Also at the back of the pack is Pleasant Prince, followed by Patio Prado. That disastrous start has put Dublin at the back of the pack. He is 15 lengths off an opening quarter of 22 and 4 as they begin that run down the backstretch here. It's First Dude, whose half was a strenuous 46 and 2/5 seconds. Cool and calculated Calvin Burrell sitting chilly, running second here with Super Saver. Just to his inside, Jackson Bend up close to the pace today. He's right there third as they approach the half-mile pole. Caracatado is settled in fourth. He's still about 4 lengths behind First Dude with a half-mile to go. Looking at Lucky. He's out of harm's way on the outside. And there goes Looking at Lucky. He's starting to move on the far outside as they round the far turn. Schoolyard Dreams is moving too. And Patio Prado is following him on the far outside. Time ticking away. There's 3 furlongs to go. Here's Looking at Lucky with a sweeping move, and Caracartado's moving too. And First Dude is now running third. And Super Saver is tailed up in the fourth. Jackson Bend, fifth toward the inside. And then it's Schoolyard Dreams are at the top of the stretch. Looking at Lucky is the leader. Super Saver is spent. First Dude fights on gaily. Jackson Bend between horses. You want a twist upset chance in the far outside. Wild finish coming. Looking at Lucky. First Dude. Jackson Bend. Looking at Lucky. Here's Jackson Bend and First Dude. Looking at Lucky. Got it. Looking Lucky has won the Preakness. Bob Baffert is looking at Lucky for a 5th time after the Preakness Stakes. It was close for second between front-running First Dude and on the outside Jackson Bend. And a very disappointing effort from Super Saver. The Triple Crown remains vacant for a 33rd straight year.
It does indeed, Tom Durkin, but redemption for looking at Lucky and trainer Bob Baffert and young 25-year-old Martin Garcia. He rode Conveyance, the front runner in the Kentucky Derby, who faded badly in his first Triple Crown effort. Here's his first Preakness ride, and the 25-year-old who was a restaurant worker before being convinced to go to the track and try his hand, first as an exercise rider and then as a jockey, gets the win. Kept looking at Lucky out of trouble for the first time in his last 3 races, and he got the win. The 2-year-old champion of last year is rewarding those who have had faith in him all along with his victory in the Preakness Stakes. The youngest rider, the youngest horse in the field, win the 135th Preakness.
Tom, there really was nothing lucky about this trip here. Martin Garcia, young Martin Garcia, riding a flawless race, got this horse to relapse early on in the perfect spot, gets him out at the right time.
And Donna is alongside the winner.
Martin just smiled and said, looking at Lucky, I think you're feeling pretty lucky today. This is your first mount in a Triple Crown race. Certainly your first Preakness win. What's this mean to you?
This means a lot. This means a lot for me. And then I want to say thank you for all the connection for Bob Baffert, and then everybody who give me a chance to ride these beautiful horses.
Well, you're right to thank Bob Baffert for the opportunity here, but you've obviously earned your way here. Talk to me about your trip with looking at Lucky. He's had a lot of trouble in his last couple of races. How was your trip today?
Well, today the point was just try to get out of trouble, and then the first thing that I did was try to get out of trouble. He rode really good, and then the main thing was Baffert told me try to stay ground the first turn, and then after then just do whatever you want. So, and then I know that I was looking the favorite, he go in front of me, and then that's exactly what happened.
Super safe.
Yeah, and then the night he was outside of him, and then he just he didn't respond in mine when I asked him to go.
All right, congratulations, Martin. Well done. Let's go to Bob Newmeyer.
There's a lot of pandemonium from Bob Baffert. So to Bob, could you turn around and getting greetings from his owners? Do you feel like a football coach that changed quarterbacks when you were down 10 points going from Gomez to Garcia, and Garcia put up 21 in the 4th quarter?
Well, I don't think it was Gomez's fault in the Derby. You know, Garcia, we've been clicking, we've been winning. He's been on this horse more so than anybody else. And there's my man Wayne Lucas. All right. And it's one of those things that, you know, I've just been winning with him. And, you know, when he turned for home, he can really finish. He's a superstar. Porky just came from Mexico 5 years ago. And when he came out today to ride, he was just so pumped up. I think he's so young, he doesn't realize the magnitude of this race. But he rode a beautiful race, but he's a hell of a horse.
You told me before the race that it wasn't so much the tactics with this rider, but you were concerned with his demeanor. Was he scared? Was he nervous? And in the paddock, he seemed joking and just had a great time with you and the owners and seemed very confident.
Well, first thing I look at their shoes. If they have vomit on the tip of their toes, I know I'm in trouble. But, you know, he came out, he was loose, and he was excited. But he was so grateful for letting him ride the horse, because he told me last week that, you know, thanks for it. But I want to say hello to my mama, the chief. He did it.
He did it again.
Butch.
Congratulations, Bob Baffert wins another Preakness. Kenny Rice.
All right, thanks, Bob. 2 weeks ago, he said he was going to win the Triple Crown aboard Super Saver. Calvin Burrell, it did not work out today. What about your ride?
He had a perfect trip. Perfect trip. I wouldn't have changed it for nothing in the world. You know, he just come up a little empty. I mean, he runs so hard in the Derby, you know. He's not a big horse, like Todd said, you know. But, you know, when you win the Derby, you got to go for 3 legs, you know. And, I mean, I'm not disgusted with the horse. Believe what I'm telling you. He's a good horse, and we'll have fun with him in the future. But, you know, he just come up empty today. I mean, we went. I mean, I wouldn't have changed position with nobody in the first half a mile, you know. And when
they were moving along pretty crisp.
Yeah, they were going pretty good. The track's kind of fast, I think. You know, they were running fast today all day. So, but I was comfortable, you know. And when I asked him, it's kind of folded up, you know. But it happens. Horse race.
So he's okay. Everything felt good with the horse. He just didn't have it today.
Right. He come back good, jogged off good, jogged back good.
All right. Thank you, Calvin. Appreciate your time. Calvin Burrell. Tom,
All right, so Bob Baffert ties Wayne Lucas with 5 Preakness victories, and he won for Mike Pegram, one of the owners of this colt, with Real Quiet back in 1998, and here's how he did it.
Looking at Lucky in a perfect position, and what a run from First Dude, who had set all the pace here. Unlucky Jackson Ben. Mike Smith couldn't find anywhere to go on the inside, but Martin Garcia flawless in his ride. And as Bob Baffert said, he might not have known the magnitude of this whole event, because he went out there and rode this thing like he had rode 100 of them in the past. Baffert knows he's got it from the 16th pole home.
Owned by Carl Watson, Mike Pegram, and Paul Whiteman. Looking at Lucky, a 3-year-old colt by Smart Strike from Private Feeling by Belong to Me, bred in Kentucky by Gulf Coast Farms, and sold as a 2-year-old for $475,000 at the Keeneland sale. Meanwhile, Calvin Burrell and Todd Pletcher, as Calvin said, in perfect spot. It just didn't happen for the Derby winner today. For Martin Garcia, a sweet leg up on Looking at Lucky. And the opposite for Garrett Gomez on Dublin. Nearly went to the outside fence at the break and gets nothing. Here are the payouts. Looking at Lucky, 680, 460, 380. First Dude got second, one of the long shots, 1660 and 920 for Dale Romans. And Jackson Ben for Nick Zito, 660 to show. The Exacta, 188. The Trifecta, 2,700. And the Superfecta, $17,126. So Martin Garcia gets the win in his debut. Jeremy Rose did that in 2005, the last time. Coming up, we'll see the trophy presentation and just how Looking at Lucky won the Black-Eyed Susans. Exclusive views of today's race provided by the MetLife Blimp. Take the reins and protect your family with a personal safety net. Go to MetLife.com today. And a look at the complete order of finish in the Preakness Stakes, with Looking at Lucky the winner. First Dude finishing second. Jackson Ben was third. Then You Want a Twist. Dublin wound up in 5th place with Garrett Gomez. Patio Prado in 6th. 7th place was Cara Cortado. Super Saver, the Derby winner, faded to 8th. Then Schoolyard Dreams, Aconite, Pleasant Prince, and Northern Giant finishing 12th and last. Now, in case you missed it, Avodart brings you this replay of the 135th Preakness Stakes.
Tom, from start to finish, I don't think that Bob Baffert could have drawn up a better game plan for Martin Garcia. See him right in the center of your screen there. Going to the lead is Super Saver under Calvin Burrell, and just taking up a position in 5th place. Saves the ground like Bob Baffert wanted to around this first turn. It's critical that you save ground around this first turn. Tells Martin Garcia, do what you want to after that. That's Cara Cortado just on the outside and in front of the eventual winner, Looking at Lucky. And Martin Garcia's got to love what he sees right now. This race is over with basically right now in Martin Garcia's eyes. If he has the horse, if he's got the horsepower under him to take him the mile and 3/16 after the horrible trips that he's had his last 3 races. He's a little bit wide right now, but he hasn't lost any ground because he saved all that ground around the turn. Now it's just a matter of patience. He's gauging the horses in front of him. As was mentioned, the pace here was very fast. They went 22.4 of a second in here, which is very fast for a mile and 3/16. And Garcia gives a little bit of a shove going into the turn here. He's only 4 wide. You start getting outside of the 4-post position, you're going to have a lot of trouble. It uses a lot of energy.
And right now, Super Saver, Calvin knows he's got no horse. Right?
Yeah, he starts to fade on him, and now it becomes a 3-horse race. But take a look right inside of Super Saver, and you've got Jackson Ben and Mike Smith, and he's bottled up pretty good. He's got to sit and wait right now with a dying Cara Cortado in front of him. Meantime, Martin Garcia takes the slip on the rest of the field. Very, very game First Dude. Looks like he's going to come back and win it. There's still a 16th of a mile to go here, and this is where Martin Garcia gets very busy and very strong. This kid, for only being around here for about 5 years and going to the top of his game, he's as strong a finisher as you're going to find in this game.
Martin Garcia, strong finish on Looking at Lucky, and a game performance by First Dude to finish second. That's our Avidart in case you missed it replay. The Woodlawn Vase awaits the trophy presentation for the Preakness when we return to Pimlico in Baltimore. A Preakness tradition, the painting of the winning horse's colors on the weather vane here at Pimlico, the colors of Mike Pegram and Looking at Lucky on the weather vane. Now for the trophy presentation. Let's go to Bob Costas.
All right, Tom, thanks very much. First, Tom Chukas is the president and COO of the Maryland Jockey Club. A beautiful day and a very entertaining race.
Thanks, Bob. It was a fantastic day for racing. Congrats to the connections, to Bob Baffert, trainer Martin Garcia, and it's been wonderful. I can't thank the fans enough for coming out. I've got the pleasure to introduce our governor of the great state of Maryland, Martin O'Malley.
Governor O'Malley, in past years when we've come here for the Preakness, there were clouds of doubt about the future of this event and racing in Maryland. It seems recent developments have set things on the right path in terms of the management of the Preakness and the finances of the whole situation, so you have to feel better about that.
Oh, I feel great about it. You know what, the weather today is almost a reflection of the fact that the cloud of the possibility of the Preakness leaving town in the middle of the night has passed, and we've been able to secure an agreement with Magna that's enforceable, binding, that will legally keep the Preakness in Maryland for the future. And it's great news, and it was a great day.
Governor's son, Will, did you have the winning horse?
No, I'm sorry, I did not.
We're sorry about that, too, but you had a good time, right?
Oh, I had a great time. I always love coming here.
All right, Governor O'Malley with the presentation of the Woodlawn Vase to Carl Watson, who is one of the owners and will represent the ownership group. And be careful, it's heavy.
Here we go, Mr. Watson. On behalf of the people of Maryland, it is my great honor to present to you the most coveted trophy in all of sport from the people of Maryland, the Woodlawn Vase.
On behalf of Mike and Paul, my great partners, this is absolutely unbelievable. I know Mike's been here before, but, you know, I just am speechless right now. You know, this horse, we always thought this horse was really, really special, and today he got a chance. He had a great trip. The weather was great. The people have been great. I mean, Bob's done an unbelievable job with this horse. Martin gave the horse the ride that we all knew that he would prevail if he got one like that. And, you know, I don't know what else to say. This is unbelievable.
Carl, thanks and congratulations. Now to hear from Bob Baffert and Martin Garcia, let's go over to Mike Battaglia.
All right, thanks, Bob. And with Bob Baffert and Martin Garcia, a couple of pretty happy guys right now. Bob, you finally got the trip. You told me how you thought this horse could really run and proved it today.
Well, I think the post position was a big factor, and you know, we finally, our luck had to change somehow. The way the trips, you know, a lot of people were, you know, wanting to hit the board. I just didn't want to get hit. And after he got around that first turn, Martin, he just, you know, he came out here today. He was just so cool and calm, and he just rode a perfect race. And I'm just so proud that I brought him in here. I'm proud of the owners, Mike Pegram, Watson Weidman. You know, they've been behind me through thick and thin, and now I can buy more horses.
But we're going to show you the whole race right now, Bob. You and Martin, take a look at the replay here. Here you are at the start, and Martin, how did he come out of the gate?
Well, I know that horse, before he was showing something like a speed, and then I tried to break clear, and then I know that the kind of more horses, some of the inside and the outside have a speed, and then I know that I have to get close to the rail. The first turn, that's what the Baffert told me. So what I did, I tried to save the more ground in the first round, and then in the backside, Bob told me, you know what, after the half a mile, just do whatever you want. So I tried to save ground, and then whenever I have a chance, what I did is just go outside, and then I get him from there.
And Bob, you were watching the race right now. Now you knew that the pace was quick up front. You had to be happy with the way you were making this move on the outside.
Well, I mean, the whole key is the first turn here. It's tricky, it's treacherous, and once he made the turn, I told him you can't be more than 3 off the rail, and once you get to the backside, then you're on your own, and if you have a horse, you'll get there. And, you know, I saw the pace. I saw it was pretty quick, and I knew Martin. He knows he can really get a horse to settle really well, and I could see he had the horse in a nice rhythm, and but I was still waiting for him to make that move because this horse really likes to run the turns. So I really didn't feel real confident until when they got about the 2.5, and I was watching those red colors, you're watching to see that move that they make when they start cruising up there. And about right here, when I saw those red colors making the cruise, I thought, oh boy, he's running today,
Did you know Super Saver at this point had already stopped? He was stopping. He's just about dropping out of the race. But First Dude, 20-1 shot on the inside. This horse was tenacious.
Yeah, well, First Dude, when you had a lot of speed, he's a big, good-looking horse. And right here, turning for home, I thought, please, we've gone through so much. Please, nobody run me down. That horse on the inside, I didn't know who it was. I was down here. I couldn't see anything. And this little horse, he has so much heart. He's just all heart. He's just a gallant horse. He's just a warrior. And he deserved one of these races because he wants to win so badly.
He really did. Martin, when did you know you had this race won?
Like in the half mile. Because like the favor, kind of like, the one when the Kentucky Derby, he don't like to be really close to the pace. Like the time before when he ran second over Arkansas, he was right there and he really didn't finish. So I saw that he was in front. I say, well, I gotta put pressure to the Nye, and then the Nye is gonna put pressure to him, and then that's exactly the way it worked out. Nye put pressure on him, and then I just.
Great job. Great job.
Great
Congratulations,
ride,
Martina. Great ride. Congratulations,
I've been
Bob.
held up in a hotel in Louisville. I needed to win. I was going crazy.
Congratulations. Happy connections. Let's go now back over to Bob Costas.
All right, Mike, thanks very much. Bob Baffert is a Hall of Fame trainer who had one of the great runs in the history of the sport. In a 6-year span, late 90s to the early part of the first decade of this century, he won 8 Triple Crown races in a 6-year span, but he had not won a Triple Crown race since 2002 here at the Preakness with War Emblem, so he had to be getting a little bit antsy, and he made the kind of move that you have to have confidence to make, like the guy who pulls a Cy Young Award winner and goes to his bullpen and is willing to take the heat, and then the guy coming out of the bullpen throws shutout innings and gets the job done. The guy who pulls a Pro Bowl quarterback and the substitute comes in and leads the winning drive. Well, Garrett Gomez is a 2-time Eclipse Award winner. He had won 6 of his first 7 races aboard Looking at Lucky, but after the disappointing rides at the Santa Anita Derby and then in the Kentucky Derby, Baffert was not afraid to withstand the criticism and the second guessing that surely would have come had Looking at Lucky had a bad run here, but he went to the relatively inexperienced Garcia. It panned out perfectly as he is back, speaking of Baffert, in the winner's circle at a Triple Crown race for the first time in 8 years, and Garcia wins a Triple Crown race for the first time in his career. Back to you, Tom.
All right, Bob, and Baffert did make the right moves. Very similar to what happened with Point Given back in 2001. After finishing 6th in a troubled trip in the Derby, he comes here to win Looking at Lucky the Preakness, as Point Given, who had been 5th in the Derby, came back to win the Preakness as well. And it was Carl Watson who said to Mike Pegram, "You're looking at Lucky." That's how the horse got his name, and he finally got the clean trip today.
Well, thank goodness Bob Baffert didn't change jockeys in 2001.
That was you.
That was me. Yeah, I would have been taken off. But you know what? Martin Garcia has been riding for Bob Baffert all this year, and their success has been unbelievable. I had the pleasure of riding for Bob Baffert for a lot of years, and he gives you this feeling of confidence that you're riding a horse that's breathing different air when you come into the stretch. And when you ride with that type of confidence, the horses are going to perform for you. Rode a great race, Martin Garcia.
And the Triple Crown remains one of the most difficult events in all of sports to accomplish. 1978 affirmed remains the last Triple Crown winner in thoroughbred racing. They'll head on to the Belmont Stakes now. Looking at Lucky will get a lot of support, and don't forget Icebox, who had such a troubled trip finishing 2nd in the Derby. He'll be rested and awaiting Looking at Lucky at Belmont Park. Well, tonight, starting at 8/7 Central, it's Parenthood, followed by Law and Order and Law and Order SVU. Then at 11:30, 10:30 Central, stay tuned for an all-new Saturday Night Live with host Alec Baldwin. So for our entire NBC Sports crew, this is Tom Hammond saying so long from Pimlico Racecourse, where today 25-year-old Martin Garcia guided Looking at Lucky to a victory in the Preakness Stakes. You've been watching the 135th Preakness Stakes presented by Chase Sapphire, part of NBC Sports Championship Season.